Hi, welcome to Fire Mountain Gems and Beads Jewelry Making Studio. I'm Christi Friesen, and today I'm going to walk you through one of my favorite projects to make, a steampunk fish. He's adorable. Look, he's got little goggles and everything. So fun to make. And if you've never worked with polymer before, this is an ideal project to start with. Plus, you really get to show this one off to your friends. Now, in working with this particular project today, you're going to need a few things. Polymer clay, obviously. Polymer clay comes in a lot of varieties of colors and choices. All you'll need is something in a fish-friendly color. And if you've poked your head in the ocean recently, you'll know that fish come in any kind of color you like. So you pretty much, anything you got is going to look great. If you want to work steampunk, and I'll talk about steampunk in just a second, you'll probably want to work in earthy tones and metallics. So something like silvers and golds and browns are probably pretty good for this project. Steampunk, we'll get back to that. Take notes, there'll be a quiz. Also, I like using this little polybonder glue to attach the gears that we're going to use to make the steampunk look more steampunk. Speaking of which, gears. Look at these, aren't these fun? They're tiny little gears that come from old watches, and they are the perfect thing for making your fish look like a mechanical wind-up steampunk creation. The other bead that you're going to need to make your fish with is a round bead. These are probably about a 3 or 4 millimeter, and as you'll notice, they're garnets, but any kind of a round dark stone will work. To attach them, you're going to use just a little teeny bit of 28 gauge wire. You won't need much, maybe a couple of inches. And of course, that means wire cutters and pliers to cut your wire and to twist it, unless you have very, very strong teeth. Kidding, don't use your teeth. Tools. Cutting blade is great. It's just a sharp blade. Keep the pointy end, the sharp end, away from all arteries and fingertips. Needle nose tweezers. These will help you pick up those little teeny gears and stick them where they go. Needle tool. This is for fin details. Needle tools are great. If you don't have one floating around your area, go get one. If you can't do that, use a toothpick. It'll work. And then just whatever sculptural tools you have lying around. I've got one that just makes some nice wedge shapes and smoothing areas, but pretty much anything you've got that will help you create your piece will be just fine. And finally, if you've got it, I like using mica powders. This is just a colored powdered tint, and you use a nice little soft paintbrush to apply it, and it adds fun little colors. Here you can see he's got purpley bits, and look, I've got some on me too, how nice. Purpley bits here and there that just add a little bit of sparkle. We'll get into all that fun stuff, but that's what you should gather together, and then we'll be ready to go. All right? Gather your stuff, and let's make a steampunk fish. So now that you've gathered up all the supplies you're going to need, let's go fishing, shall we? Polymer clay comes first, obviously. The best thing to do is to cut little bits of your polymer clay together so that you can mix them. Obviously, gnawing it with your teeth, not the best way. Use your blade. And just cut gently so that you've got little slivers of color. I combined a couple of different things that were very steampunk friendly, browns, golds, that sort of thing. And all you're going to do is start smashing them together with your fingers. The warmth of your hand usually starts making that clay get very soft. This is called conditioning. You can use a pasta machine or a clay conditioning machine to make this process go quicker, or if you have trouble with fingers, the pasta machine makes it go a lot faster, but you definitely can do it at home with fingertips, no problem at all. And you notice what I'm doing. I'm just folding, I'm twisting, I'm smashing, I'm smushing. You can also get out your aggressions this way. Oh, man, that dishwasher, whatever. Anyway, so now once you've mixed it all into a very fish-friendly color, we're ready to start. All you're going to do is take a little bit of your clay and roll it into a ball. You'll notice how easily this stuff rolls. You want something that's just a small thing. I don't even know what size that is. A tiny little grape, a very, very tiny tomato, that size. And once you've rolled it into a ball, then you're going to roll it into an oval. Pretty simple stuff. Then if you have a tool that's got a rounded edge, just like a paintbrush handle, anything like that, I usually use that to roll back and forth to make a little indentation. This is going to separate the fish's body from its tail. But then get your fingers in that little wedge so that you can make it softer, less like a mechanical wedgy thing and more like a fishy thing. Then flatten the end. Okay, so now you see what we've got. We've got sort of a goldfish cracker thing happening, almost, but we don't need that much tail. So we're going to take our blade again and just chop that end right off. Excess, we'll use that for other things. So we really have a goldfish cracker look happening now. So we've got his head, body, tapers very, very nicely, and then that little flat area is going to become his tail. To make it in the tail, again, use your blade and just cut it right in half. And it's okay if it's not perfectly in half, because you can use your hands to manipulate the rest of that. Get your tool in there if your hands are too big, and mine are, and just kind of soften that cut area a little bit. Pinch those two ends into fishy shapes. These are his little back fishy fins. And like I said, if one side is too big, you just get rid of it. Pinch it away and turn it into the right size. So we've got nice flattened, I think you can see that there. It's probably about as flat as a dime, and then some very fun little fish fin look. Once you've got that, you've done all the hard part. The rest of it's just a piece of cake. So we're going to put your guy down. Let's give him eyes and goggles. If you have a tool that's got sort of a wedgy, dowel-y point there, and you can even take something like a dowel tool and sharpen it if you want to, but this kind of tool works great for just poking him right in the eye, and I'm making a little indentation where the eye bead is going to go in. Then I'm taking some kind of a leather-colored clay. I've just used brown here, but whatever leathery color you like, and made a little teeny ball and flattened it out a bit, and I'm going to put that right over the hole we just made. Now he's a pirate. He has an eye patch. And I'm going to poke a hole right back through to that hole underneath. And again, opening it up a little bit. This is going to make it look like the little round part of his goggle. Eyeballs. You can just stick beads in clay, but once the clay hardens in the oven, those little beads are going to pop out. So we're going to want to make sure they're secure in the clay. And one of the most effective ways of doing this is using a bit of wire to secure them in there. So starting with any little round bead, remember we had that little 3 or 4 millimeter round bead, these are garnets, and your little snippet of wire, 28 gauge again, and I've just stuck that little bead on the end. Pull those wires together so the bead is right at the end of them. Get your pliers, hold onto it with pliers, and twist. I find it's easier if you hold it with the pliers and twist with your fingers. You can use your toes too, but it's much more awkward. So I'm twisty, twisty, twisty. Once you've got enough twist there, probably about 1/8 of an inch or so, aim directly at somebody else's eyes and just cut that, no, don't do that. Cut that off gently, away from others' eyes, and then just bend the end in a little hook. So it looks sort of like a fishing hook. Sorry, dude. And then you're going to poke that right in that eye hole that you've made and just press the pointy side down first, right in there. That little hook is going to make it hold in, and the clay will harden around it. Isn't that perfect? Doesn't that look just like he's got a fun little goggle around him? And to make that look even more convincing, let's give him goggly straps. More bits of brown clay or whatever goggle color you chose. And I'm just flattening it out. So it's a little snake of clay, flatten it out, stick the end right in the area where if you were wearing goggles, that would be the strap that went around your head. And I'm just going to tuck that around the back. So see what we've got? Placed it on there, tucked it around the back. And then he needs a little one in his nose area. Fishes have noses, right? And we're going to flap that around the front. So now he's got his little goggle on there. But he doesn't have a smile to show how happy he is about wearing a goggle. So let's just use a tool and press a little happy smile in there. So I'm just rolling that tool up there so that he's got a nice little grin. He's as amused as I am about his goggles. All right, so now fins. He's already got back fins, but they're a bit naked. They need some lines on them to look conveniently finny. So I'm going to take my needle tool again, and I'm just going to press it into the clay to make little lines. So see how I've made the little lines right there? And you notice too that I'm holding my needle tool like this, and I'm not holding it up and scratching on there, because frankly that's amateur, and you want people to be impressed with your needle tool skills. So lay it down flat and press away. And just a few little lines. I'm kind of following the curve. You can't really do that wrong. As long as there's lines over there, it's all good. Now, he's got some lovely little lines on there, but he's naked on the top of him. He needs his top fins. All you do to make a top fin is you're going to take a little ball of your clay, a little bit of your clay, and make it into a ball. And then I just kind of roll it in between my fingers a little to shape it kind of like a rice shape. Taper it at the ends, a little thinner in the middle, and flatten it. When you flatten it, you should get a nice little finny shape. See that right there? Little finny shape. And to that, you can use your needle tool to add lines again. Same exact way. Or you can have a minion make a whole bunch of them with lines on it already. I recommend that. It's a lot more easy and quick. So there's some. Let's put these on. Well done, minions. I'm going to put a nice big one right here for his lower fin. This is the one he steers with and waves to his friends with. And then we need some on the top. So there's his lower fin. Now we're going to put some on the top. And I start at the back and just press these on the top. So it's a little funky. You're just going to push it on like this. So you see you've got it flat this way and you just stick it on that way. So they just line up on the top. And polymer is wonderful. Just by pressing it to each other, they grab. So if you press and you can feel that clay kind of grabbing, you know it's on good enough. If not, push a little harder. So see what we've got? We've got fins on top, fins in the back, fins to wave to his friends with. He's almost done. All he needs now is a little bit of color and some gears. We talked about steampunk just briefly. Steampunk is a sort of mad scientist from the Victorian era. So it's all that whole gears and steam and brass and leather. So if you make this guy have some little gears on him, he'll have that feeling. It's quite a popular look right now, and it's very fun to do. So what I've got is I've got a whole bunch of these little happy gears. An assortment is always best because it's always different things. You need different sizes, so having several to choose from is very good. And we're going to use those little tweezers to kind of pick and choose. Got a couple of small ones here that'll be just great. A lot of times they have like a little stem on them, and the stem helps embed them into the clay. These two want to stay together, so we'll just let them. I like using Polybonder, which is that super glue that works in the oven. It doesn't lose its adhesion in the oven, which many super glues do. So I'm just going to pick up one of those little gears, carefully brush right on the end, and then close that up again. It is super glue. It dries quickly, so get it on there fairly quickly. And you just press it into place. We'll do one more, because it needs at least 2 or 3 gears to make it look actually mechanical. All right, so let's get that out of the way and put that right there. What do you think? Doesn't that look good? Looks like if you just wound him up, off he would go. So the last thing that we need for our little dude to look awesome is some mica powder. Mica is just a tint that you can apply directly onto polymer with a paintbrush, and it sticks right onto the wet clay. So I'm dipping a little bit of that powder on the tip of my brush and just coming on the tips of his fins and giving him just a bit. Girls, if you've ever put on makeup, you know how to do this. Guys, if you haven't, go get your girls. They'll show you how. And you just brush it on gently, get rid of any excess, and just smooth it in. And you can use more than one color. I put purple on the tips of him because why not? And then I'm going to take a little bit of gold to kind of highlight right underneath all that geary area. Isn't that great? Doesn't he look fun? So there's our happy little fun dude. Now he is ready just to get baked and then added to a complete set to make a pendant or to make something with resin in it. But let me talk to you very quickly about baking. Any polymer clay package that you get will have instructions about baking on it, but all you need to really remember is preheat your oven, make sure it's nice and warm in there and there's no spikings in temperature. Put your piece in the oven for about a half an hour, let it cool completely. All right, and for any more details on that, consult your package of clay. So once your dude is happy and done, look what you can do with him. You can put him inside a little ocean of resin. Doesn't that look fantastic? If you want, you also can add him to a whole necklace of fun. Here's some clock watch faces, a nice big base. I've added additional little gears, and he just glues right on there with like an epoxy 2-part glue or something similar. And then it's a nice pendant ready to wear to your next steampunk gathering. All right, so I really appreciate that you're here with me to make this cute little fish. And I hope you'll have fun making him, and then you can come back anytime. We welcome you back to Fire Mountain Gems, and they have a lot of tips, tricks, tutorials, a lot of fun projects that you can make right here. www.firemountaingems.com. We'll see you back again. Thanks.